Hi, I'm Emily Richards, and today we're making a frozen strawberry cheesecake that uses Canadian dairy. How do you know that you're purchasing Canadian dairy? That's pretty easy. Just look for this little blue cow. It says 100% Canadian milk. You'll find it in great products like ice cream cheese, milk, yogurt, and butter. All these things are probably in your refrigerator and freezer right now, and you can create these delicious recipes like what we're going to do today. There's 10,000 dairy farms in Canada, which means that we get great milk. How much milk? Well, in my family, I'm going to take the average here, about 63 liters of milk per Canadian. That's a lot of milk in the fridge. Perfect, because I love using it in recipes. What about cheese? One of my favorites, about 14 kilograms of cheese per person. I know that I can use it in sweet and savory ingredients and make my family super happy. In today's recipe, we're using butter and cream cheese, not to mention that ice cream. All right, so let's start with the crust of our frozen strawberry cheesecake. First thing I'm gonna do is start off by melting my butter. You can do this in a little pot or pop it into the microwave. All right, so I have my melted butter, and we're gonna put together our graham cracker crumbs and a little bit of sugar in our bowl. We're gonna stir that together. And we're going to add our melted butter. There we go. Just give it a stir. And you want to make sure that all the crumbs are nicely coated. And we're going to be putting this into an 8-inch springform pan. Why a springform pan? Because it'll be much easier to take it out to serve when we're ready to serve it. All right. There's our pan. Okay. Make sure that it's sealed. You don't want any of that crust slipping out. And I'm going to just put all of our crumb mixture in there. And what I love about butter, especially when you're using it in a crust like this, not only is it going to help provide a little bit of crunchiness, but it's going to add a nice creamy flavor to it. Believe it or not, it actually does. All right. Oh, I want to make sure I get all of that out of the spoon. So start patting down your graham crust. And this one is going to get tucked into the freezer. So this is a true no-bake dessert. We don't have to bake the crust or the filling. So nice and evenly, I'm just using my spoon. You can get in there. And if it's easier, just pat it with your fingers. Okay. There we are, as evenly as you can. And then what we're going to do is pop this into the freezer for about 30 minutes just to get it nice and firm. All right, while our crust is in the freezer, let's get our filling together. We are going to use some cream cheese, hence the cheesecake part of it. We're going to incorporate a little bit of sugar into our cream cheese so that it adds a little bit of sweetness, but we want to make sure that it's completely dissolved before we add our ice cream. And we're going to be using that delicious strawberry ice cream to amplify that strawberry flavor. All right, so you can use a stand mixer, but I'm just going to use my hand mixer to beat everything up. So I want to just lighten up my cream cheese. And it always makes it easier if you let your cream cheese soften a little bit before you use it. And then I'm going to sprinkle in my granulated sugar and just start beating it together. Try to keep it in the bowl. There we are. And you want to beat it for a couple of minutes just to make sure that that sugar gets completely incorporated and is dissolved into the cream cheese. So how are you going to tell if it's dissolved? Simple enough. Just take a little bit and rub it between your fingers. And if it still feels a little bit granular, keep mixing. All right, take a little bit, rub it between your fingers. Don't feel any more sugar granules. We can add our ice cream. Now, I'm gonna add a little bit at a time because it's just gonna be easier to mix. So I have a nice big spoon here, and my ice cream is been sitting for a bit, so it's a little bit soft. I don't want it completely softened. I don't wanna lose that ice cream texture, but just a few spoonfuls at a time, so that we can get it nice and evenly mixed in. Nice. So this might take a little bit of time. If you need to sneak a little taste here and there, by all means do so. You might have to lick your fingers. There we are. Gonna get another big scoop here and mix away. I just added the last few scoops of ice cream, and I'm mixing it up so that it's nice and smooth. There we go. Our filling is ready for that crust. I'm just going to go grab it out of the freezer. All right, I have my frosty crust out of the freezer, and we're ready to put it into the pan. So I'm just going to use my spatula. This is so smooth. I could eat this right now. Of course, you could, totally. And I'm going to pour this into our crust. And then this is going to go back into the freezer. Now, this process will take a little bit longer, obviously, because we want this to freeze up nicely. So this is where this dessert becomes a wonderful make ahead. So I can plan for the weekend or a few nights from now. Just kind of smooth that out as best you can. And then we're going to tuck this right back into the freezer. And don't forget to lick the spatula. You can't say no, it's so delicious. While our cheesecake is chilling in the freezer, we are going to make a strawberry mint topping, just to heighten that strawberry flavor. So we're going to start off in a saucepan. We're going to add some fresh strawberries or those frozen local strawberries in your freezer. You can use those. We need about 2 cups. So for those smaller strawberries, you make sure you just hull them and have them. But for those larger ones, just quarter them up and measure them out. Now, same rule applies if they're frozen. You need about 2 cups. If they're whole, just let them thaw a little bit first, and then you can have them. Okay, I'm gonna let's add 1 more strawberry here. I think that'll give me my 2 cups. So we're gonna get that into my saucepan. Smells wonderful. I love fresh berries. Frozen berries, as soon as they hit the saucepan and start cooking, that aroma comes through really, really strongly. Fresh mint. So just think of that garden fresh mint put to use, not only for great salads and stews, but in desserts, you know that fresh mint will make it absolutely delicious. So we're going to do this over low heat, but we're going to add a little bit of sweetness to this. And what's more Canadian than some maple syrup? So we're going to just drizzle that on. And we're not going to be cooking this for too long. We just want to soften the strawberries a little bit and infuse the flavor of the mint and the maple syrup in the strawberries. So this is not a time for you to walk away from your saucepan. You want to make sure that you're just standing over that stove, getting a strawberry facial. It's only going to take about 5 minutes to soften those strawberries and have a delicious topping for our cheesecake. So we've let our strawberries cook about 5 minutes. They're nice and soft. We've got lots of strawberry juice out of them, mixed up with the maple syrup and mint. This is going to be a delicious topping for our frozen strawberry cheesecake. We just need to let it cool completely and get that cheesecake out of the freezer. So while our cheesecake is in the freezer, I have my strawberry topping cooling. I thought, let's talk about another frozen treat that includes Canadian dairy. Talked a little bit about how much I love yogurt for breakfast. Why not yogurt for a snack? Take your favorite, I'm using vanilla yogurt, and spread it onto a baking sheet with a little bit of parchment paper. I had some extra strawberries, sprinkle those on top with some homemade granola, tuck it into the freezer, and you have this beautiful frozen yogurt bark. It's a great snack in the afternoon. You just have to snap it, break off a piece, and enjoy it. It's cold, refreshing. great flavor of frozen vanilla yogurt, a little crunchy from the granola, and the addition of fruit makes it absolutely colorful and extra delicious. So a great little snack to enjoy while your cheesecake is chilling. We've taken the cheesecake out of the freezer, so now all we need to do is cut a slice. The first thing I want to do is kind of loosen around the edges here. So I'm just going to run my small paring knife around the edge. And this is just to make sure that I can loosen the sides of the springform pan. Okay. The other thing that you could do is, if you wanted, is you could put parchment paper before pouring in the filling. I kind of did. I just had to hurry up and get it in, so I didn't do that, but you could totally use some parchment paper. So I'm just cutting all the way around, staying really close to the sides of the pan, just like so. Okay, and then I'm going to undo the sides here, lift up the side of the pan. Well, it looks like we have a great looking dessert. And now we're going to cut a slice. So you can do this right out of the freezer. And what I usually do is I take my large chef's knife, or you could use a carving knife, and just run it under some nice hot or warm water. And make sure you have a clean tea towel handy. And you can make your cut. So I'm going to cut it into a nice wedge. And you want to make sure you push down when you get to that crust, because you want to get through it. Okay. I'll do another cut here. Oh, you can see how warm that knife is. It's just kind of oozing ice cream, which is so yummy looking. All right, I'm going to see if I can loosen it here. If I cut all the way through, go back and make sure that I've done that. There, cut through that slice. I'm going to get my pie lifter here and hope for that perfect first slice. Let's see if I can do it. There we go. And I have my strawberry mint topping ready. There we are. Put that on the plate, just like that. I'm going to grab a spoon so I can spoon some of the dessert out of the topping onto the dessert. Grab the spoon so that I can spoon some of our strawberry topping right over top, just like that. Get some of that syrup. And I did grab a fork because I do want to taste this dessert, but I'm going to lift up this beautiful piece. Beautiful pink, great Canadian dairy, ice cream, butter in the crust, cream cheese, strawberry mint topping with maple syrup. This is going to be a dessert that everyone's going to want to dig into. Thanks for joining me.